just like everyone, you turn 18, you can buy drink. And me and all my mates, we were just getting mad with it every weekend, and out drinking and sometimes during the week. And it just so happened to be that my path that, I ended up getting into some serious health issues. And I went downstairs and my mum looked into my eyes and she's like, Ryan, your eyes are yellow, your skin's yellow. I was like, oh, jaundice, you need to get right up to the hospital now. I started going to some yoga classes and I started to do breath work. And now they say that sometimes when you leave home, you really begin to fall in love with it, and you actually realize what you left, you actually miss. And I began to really research and study the history of Scotland. When I came back to Scotland, I just went on this mission to make a pilgrimage to these places and to go to these sacred sites.
Ryan Mckenna, welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you, Jim. It's an absolute pleasure and honour to be here, and good to be here in Glasgow.
It's good to see you. So I'll open up by asking you what you've got going on at this present moment, this present time, your retreats and your business and stuff.
Yeah, so 2024 is actually shaping up to be one of the biggest years so far in terms of the tours and retreats that I do. So I have retreats that I run throughout the year and private tours all over Scotland. So I take groups up to the Highlands, up to the islands, and we visit all of the sacred sites and ancient cathedrals and castles and ruins. And yeah, it's a magical journey. So yeah, this year is shaping up to be a big one. So
sounds
looking
special.
forward to it.
I'd love to come along to one of the retreats, Ryan. I think I'll get VIP treatment on one of them.
You will? Yeah, well, you definitely will, man. You will.
We'll tap into that subject later on in the episode.
Cool.
We'll talk right deep into your retreats and we can go into more detail. But first, I'll take you right back to the start, like the first chapter of your life, memories of childhood, and then we'll work it through there, step by step.
Yeah. Yeah, so I grew up in Edinburgh, Musselburgh, just outside on the east coast of Scotland, and football was my reality for many years growing up, and I was just so obsessed by playing football, and that's some of my earliest memories are just with my dad, and my dad used to coach Musselburgh Athletic Football Club. And, I was just always in the dugouts, and just there playing football and getting dirty. And that was just beautiful memories, those earliest memories I have of just every Saturday, then in the pubs, playing the bandits and playing the pool table and, just going around and seeing all. And it was, powerful times because you're surrounded by, when you're a wee laddie like that, you're surrounded by a lot of strong men. So yeah, in a way it was good to be surrounded by such strong men, from an early age.
So a lot of fond memories then.
A lot of fond memories, yeah. I can't say there wasn't any trauma or any difficulties, growing up.
So when you started to get a wee bit older, moving into like your teenage years, when did you start getting involved in alcohol and drugs?
So basically, once I left school, so I was actually like growing up through my teenage years, I was actually well behaved. But when I left school, just like everyone, you turn 18, you can buy drink, you get your ID. And me and all my mates, we were just getting mad with it every weekend, and out drinking and sometimes during the week. And I wasn't even doing as much than what others were doing in my friend circle, but it just so happened to be that my path that I ended up getting into some serious health issues at 18.
18?
At 18. And after months of just partying and just being out at the weekends 3 nights a week and sometimes during the week and drinking and taking stuff, ended up in hospital. One morning I woke up and I went downstairs and my mum looked into my eyes and she's like, Ryan, your eyes are yellow, your skin's yellow. I was like full jaundice from head to toe. Naked whites in my eyes. Mum was like, you better go to the doctor. So I went into the doctor, and the doctor just done some tests and all that. Looked at my blood work and all that. It's just like, you need to get right up to the hospital now.
You're only 18 at this point?
I was 18 at this point.
Is this...
And this was, yeah.
Is this alcohol related then?
Yeah, it was. And probably some other things as well, and just a concoction of just bad eating, and then during the week feeling so crap, so you're just, you're popping paracetamols and, all of that. But it was a mystery. I don't know exactly what directly caused it. It was probably a various amount of different things.
So see, how long did it take you to recover from that then, Ryan?
It took me like... yeah, good. Well, once I got into the hospital, they were like, you can't touch alcohol for 6 months. No alcohol for 6 months. And, say that to an 18-year-old laddie who's all his mates are out, going to the nightclubs, drinking.
Did you take that on board?
I had to. I did. It shook me to my core, Jim, It shook me to my core. But it was a blessing in disguise. Because I had to go through this prospect. At 18, I'm lying in the hospital bed, and the doctor's coming round saying, right, Mr. McKenna, just to let you know, we've contacted the transplant unit because you might need to get a liver transplant.
You're telling me you weren't as bad as the other people. You must have been doing some serious drinking.
I was, yeah. I was drinking, smoking, and, popping stuff here and there, and, but it's just because I think my body was extra sensitive, My constitution was just, and it just happened to me. It was in my path to have this happen to me. But compared to some other people, I wasn't even the biggest of drinkers.
Sometimes things like that are a blessing.
Yeah.
So how long, when you started to get into recovery from that, did you go back down that path again, or did you change your ways?
I did actually. So I did fall back into it a wee bit. When the doctor told me I can't touch anything for 6 months, that was very difficult. But it sunk me into a little bit of the depression. And then I got through it, but then I was like, okay, my body's healed a little bit, and I was back on my feet. And then obviously, we're living in this drinking culture here, which is just, it's natural that, it's hard to escape going out for a pint with the lads, or going down to the pub with your dad for a couple of pints and watching the game. So after that, there was a couple of years of, wasn't as bad as I used to be. I was very careful. It always stuck with me. I was like, I need to really watch what I'm drinking. So it was a couple of years of maybe dipping in a wee bit into, going out for partying, but I was always so health conscious. And as you say, it was that blessing in disguise.
So what age were you when you started to come away from that sort of stuff, and you started to learn new things about your health and rising up to your true power?
It was about 21, 22. I began to have an awakening, a health shift, really. I began to just study about, because that happened to me, and it was a very serious health condition that I had, that I overcame. It made me a little bit paranoid about health, I was getting a little bit of a hypochondriac about certain things, and was always like, I can't have even one pint now because my liver, but it helped me actually realise how precious our health is. So I began to just slowly kind of have this health awakening, and then by the time I hit like 23, which I know, for me it was a great blessing to have that young in life, because I know a lot of people, they maybe get into their 30s or 40s or 50s, and they change their dietary habits, or they'll get clean, or they'll go teetotal, and it's never too late. But for me, like, it all happened quite young in life, and I had this awakening. So by the time I was like 23, I was completely, teetotal, you could say, and I was on the path of healing and regeneration. And
so it's great that you were so young Because as you said, it took me a long time. I wish I was that young when I went onto the righteous path. What did you start to learn properly first about yourself? Did you go right into like spirituality and how to heal right away, or was it a process?
It all happened so quickly, Jim, you know. It was like the universe just came and struck me on the head, and it all at once. At once, you know, next thing I'm doing yoga and I'm researching about acupressure and like energy and consciousness and all of these incredible things that just all of a sudden just came flooding into my life. I started going to some yoga classes, and I started to do breath work and really get clearer on my dietary choices, and, you know, cut out sugar and processed foods. And so it all happened quite quickly, you know, all at once.
That's
And it's
amazing,
like,
because
yeah,
sometimes when you're ready for it, as you said, it all just comes at the one time.
yeah.
But to get it at so young. So what was your thought process at that time? What did you want to do when you were getting this awakening and you were getting so healthy? What was your plans?
Well, that's a good question, because part of me internally was like, you know, growing up in Scotland and growing up in this society here in the UK, it's can get quite depressing and quite down at certain times. And I wanted to travel. I really wanted to just get abroad. And once I was getting into my diet and my health, I was seeing all these videos of people out there in Costa Rica, out in the tropics, and I was just like, I got to get there somehow. I just wanted to be living on the land and being in a place where you could just pick coconuts from the trees and grow your food and have, you know, eat from the land and eat healthy. And it was just my dream to get there. Because yeah, it's fine. We're blessed that we can buy all these fruits in the supermarket, but I wanted to just be experiencing it on the land. So I was dreaming about traveling, and eventually, by the time it hit 2015, I found myself out there in Costa Rica.
Is that your first place you travelled to then?
One of the first places, yeah. One of the first places I got to.
Talk me through that. It must have been an experience.
That was an experience, because yeah, it was ended up, you know, on this like health retreat, working there, and a place where they were growing all these superfoods and growing all these medicinal herbs and growing food from the land. And it was just an experience that it taught me so much about healing and health and rejuvenation, and how you know, Mother Nature really has all the answers for us. When we're looking for health, we can look into the plant kingdom, and we can heal our bodies through that in a natural way, because I didn't want to go down the mainstream route of taking pharmaceutical drugs and, you know, and intensive operations. I wanted to heal my body in a natural way. And that's still a quest of mine, and still a big mission of mine, is to how can we achieve radiant health in a natural way. And that through my health journey, it got me to Costa Rica. And that's when it goes on to another chapter. And it's,
so how long were you in Costa Rica then? You said you were working on that place where they were doing retreats and stuff.
Yeah, so I was working there. So yeah, and I was living there most of the year. I was actually out there. I'd come back to Scotland for a couple of months in the summer, but I'd always be, you know,
way back
there. So yeah, it was from 2015 to about 2022. So I just kind of came back to Scotland in 2022. So yeah, and it was like my apprenticeship out there. I call it my shamanic apprenticeship, because that Costa Rica is a meeting point for so many incredible awakened people from all over the world who go there. So there's countless health retreats and spas and detox centers and places where people go who are in recovery, who are healing from all kinds of addictions and alcohol. And a lot of people were drawn to Costa Rica because the land's so magnetic there, and it just being there in a place where you're on the beach and the sunshine and the sea and the ocean, and it's you just tap into the healing energy from the earth, and it's quite prevalent there in Costa Rica. This is a big kind of health community there, and so yeah, I just got involved in that, and that was.
Did you learn the lingo there, the language?
I did, yeah, Espanol. Yeah.
I heard you speaking to one of your friends earlier on that you randomly met. How many languages do you speak?
Scots. Count what I'm saying, Paul? That's the first one. Yeah, Scots and English, of course. I speak a wee bit Gaelic as well, and I'm learning Gaelic. I hope to be speaking fluent Gaelic, I don't know, within 5 to 10 years if I keep studying it. And I speak Spanish as well, fluently. So
it's impressive, Ryan.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I get you on, I can trade a couple of Spanish words with you. I'm not going to attempt it just now. But
yeah.
No, it is impressive. Yeah. And I'm sure
thanks.
you can tell me all about that later on.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next chapter then, where did you go for Costa Rica?
So when I was out in Costa Rica, now they say that sometimes when you leave home, you really begin to fall in love with it, and you actually realise what you left, you actually miss. So I had to just get out of Scotland. I had to just leave this place to see things from a different perspective. And I was out there doing my thing and travelling and exploring and doing what I was doing out there. And I began to really research and study the history of Scotland and the history of the Celts and the Gaels and this land here and all the castles and all of this incredible architecture we have here in the land and the history and the Jacobites and the Highland clearances and the Battle of Culloden and all this story of Scotland that it just began to kind of flood into me while I was out there. And then I was like now reminiscing about, I need to come back to Scotland. I need to come back here and really go and actually know my own country more. And so it had to leave to actually understand how much I appreciated being here and how much actually I appreciate Scottish people. And I had this term that I call an ancestral awakening, which basically is a connecting deeply with our ancestral roots and the people we come from and our cultural heritage and everything that we're born into this culture in Scotland. And that was through the lineage, through the ancient practices. And when I was in Costa Rica, I was studying a lot of indigenous cultures out there and working with different indigenous tribes, learning their traditions and their ways and their customs, which was really beautiful and inspiring for me. And I was realising, but what did we do here in this country? What were our ancestral practices? Which led me to then uncover this whole magical history that we have here in Scotland. And
can you talk me through a wee bit of the history?
Yeah.
Any highlights that you would like to speak about and then talk me through?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I began to, while I was out there, I just get these downloads that would come into my head, and it'd be like, you got to go to like Roslin Chapel, you got to go to the Isle of Iona, you got to go to Glencoe, you got to go to all of these like incredible places that we have here, and it just, all of this like ancient knowledge just came into me. And when I came back to Scotland, I just went on this mission to make a pilgrimage to these places and to go to these sacred sites. They're called sacred sites because they're places where for centuries people have went to pray or to do ceremony, to do ritual or to do meditation. And in Scotland, we're so lucky to have a country that is teeming with so many different sacred sites, stone circles, ley lines, and all of this history of this heritage that we have here came flooding into me. And as I went to travel over the country and making the pilgrimage to all these sites, I began to understand, like, wow, how powerful Scotland is in terms of its position in the planet.
What standing stones did you visit?
So in Scotland, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of standing stones, stone circles all over the country, and one of the biggest ones is up there in the Isle of Lewis in Callanish.
The Callanish stones.
The Callanish
Do you know what?
stones.
I was hoping you were going to mention them because I was up there with my friend John.
Yeah.
We had a crazy experience. It was unbelievable.
Really? Wow.
I'll talk. Can I tell you that one?
Please,
And
please.
then I'll let you carry on.
Please, I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
It was so special because John had been on the island before and he was saying to me, we need to go to the Cali Stones, we need to go, but it was a dark, foggy night. And I thought, I'm not really up for this. And he's like, we need to go, something's telling us we need to go here. So we went up and it was heavy rain and stuff. And now you go through the gate. So we parked the car, through the gate, and there's stones all the way up it. Then there's the circle, the main bit. We went into the circle with the stones, Ryan, and I'm not kidding you on, within seconds, the sky opened up and all these stars started to appear and they were glowing.
Wow.
And it was just in that circle. And I'm so glad that he was there because he's my witness, because I thought no one will believe me. And we stood and we never spoke a word. We just glanced up. We probably a few minutes to 5 minutes. And I felt such an amazing experience, like an energy. And we both never said anything, just looked at it. And then when we walked out the circle, the sky went black again.
Wow.
It was special. And it blew me away.
Wow.
But sorry for interrupting you.
No, thanks for sharing. I've had many experiences personally myself, and also people that I bring to these sites, because I take people to these places every year, several times throughout the year. I take groups up to these places, and I have so many accounts of people having transcendental experiences, mystical experiences, being on these sites. And there's many reasons for that. One of the reasons for that is because they're built on powerful ley lines. Now, a lot of your viewers probably know and they've heard of the acupuncture lines in the body. Like if you go to get some acupuncture, there's meridian lines. There's different, you'll get your liver line.
Like mantras?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's different energy lines in the human body that connect your organs and your system together. And it's like that in the earth. In the earth, there's lines on the earth where energy flows. And their ancient ancestors in this country were very wise beings. They're very wise people, and they actually studied the movement of energy through the earth, and they were able to track where certain parts on the land were more potent and powerful, and the energy is really kind of heightened, and other parts on the land where there's not much going on. And these stone circles up there in Callanish, they're places where like they're concentrations, they're vortex of energy in the earth. So they're like these meeting grounds between heaven and earth. In Celtic spiritual traditions, they're called thin places. Thin places meaning like the veils between dimensions are very thin, meaning that you can connect easier with the more mystical realms. And that's why these sites are built. And not only that, they're also built not just randomly. They're not just a few stones just chucked up together. They're actually built in accordance with certain celestial alignments. So Callanish has a special connection with the Pleiades star system. And they're also used as like astronomical temples as well. The ancients were using them to be able to track the cycle of the sun and the seasons. So they're incredible. That Clavacairns, just outside of Inverness, is also a very powerful site as well. And that's right on the spine of Albion, which is a powerful ley line that just runs right up the heart or the spine of the British Isles. And so I just was fascinated by these standing stones and all of these ancient megalithic sites, and what were our ancient ancestors doing here, and how are we then operating in this modern day world, and how can we learn from the past and learn what our ancestors are doing to then get a better idea of where we can go in the future. So there's been a lot of digging and a lot of research and a lot of just, fascination of this beautiful country that we call Scotland, and there's so much magic here. It's incredible.
That's beautiful, Ryan. So when did you really start getting involved in running your own retreats then? because I know you done a lot of research. Like you said, you done a lot of touring and you found out a lot of stuff. So talk me through that. When did you really start to implement that yourself in these retreats and make them amazing?
Yeah, so when I began to research all this stuff and began to travel around the land in my van, making all these pilgrimages, I just had the download. It was like I got to bring people here. I got to take people to these places and show. I got to show the world that this exists, because a lot of them are pretty hidden. You know, people don't know about this stuff. You know, and even Scottish people, a lot of us we have no idea the incredible magic that's just on our doorstep. You know, and so I just had this idea. I was like, Sacred Scotland tour, because I wanted to bring people to the sacred. I wanted to bring people to reconnect with what is sacred. And obviously the land is very sacred, and all of these sacred sites here in Scotland. And I was like, okay, the Sacred Scotland tour. And I had experience running retreats out there in Costa Rica, because I was working as a chef in different retreat centres, freelancing, and I got to get an idea of like how people run retreats. So I kind of like had my apprenticeship, you could say, and I learned the kind of ropes. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I could put on a tour where I could bring people from all over the world and go on this big, mad, mystical adventure throughout the Highlands. And so I put it out. I put out my first tour in 2018. And I got 12 sign-ups, and it's like, wow, okay, it's happening. The universe wants this to happen. You know, it was the path of success, and it was clear that like people want this. And if I get to be an ambassador for Scotland in that way, then I'm a happy man, you know. And because I love this land so much, and I have deep ancestral connection here on both sides of my family, you know, from go way back to, you know, my ancestors.
It's special, Ryan, because when you've been doing all that work, not just in yourself, but the tours, and then you have that thought in your mind, and then it comes to you, and then it becomes reality. People are now on the retreat. Such a good feeling. Talk me through your very first retreat then. So you had 12 sign-ups. How long was it for?
So a 10-day tour. So
Right.
10-day tour. So I was like diving into the deep end. It wasn't just like, I'll try a day tour or a day retreat.
Did you have a lot of help? Did you have people round about you that were good?
Actually, I didn't, you know. It was just myself. I had a driver. I got my friend to drive a minibus for me, you know. But at first, mate, I was doing all the cooking. I was doing the touring. I was doing everything. The promotion. So it's just been a one-man show, really, apart from I have had help over the years, and it's growing now, but at the beginning it was just all me. I knew I could do it. Yeah, fortunately, just thanks to social media and the internet, I can get out there, and it's taken on a whole life of its own.
Where did you go in that first retreat then? You're saying 10 days. What was the tour?
So the tour was beginning in Edinburgh, always start in the capital, you know, Edinburgh. And with that, you know, there's so many incredible places to go in Edinburgh, and ancient sites there, and the Royal Mile and the old town of Edinburgh, Arthur's Seat, and Roslin Chapel, which is also an incredible, powerful site. It's many of your viewers might know about Roslin, but I recommend checking that out, and Roslin Glen as well. And then we went up to the Highlands, up to Perthshire, Dunkeld, through Glen Lyon, Fortingall, which is the Fortingall yew tree, which is a 5,000-year-old tree. It's the oldest living being in Scotland. Some people say the oldest living being in Europe is a 5,000-year-old tree. So at the time of Christ, 2,000 years ago, it was already an ancient tree that was 3,000 years old, and it was already revered 2,000 years ago as being an ancient tree, and it's still existing to this day. So that's one example. And
whereabouts is that tree again?
It's in a wee town called Fortingall, so it's just outside, just kind of past Aberfeldy.
Right. Okay.
Just into the Highland Perthshire.
I like to visit that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And around that area, there's different stone circles and megalithic sites. There's also a beautiful chapels around there as well. So with my tours, we're going into Christian sites, Christian monastic sites, and also pre-Christian, more Druidic sites as well, and the blend between the both. Then we went up to Callanish standing stones. So I always take my groups to the Callanish stones either on the equinox or the solstice, which are powerful times in the year in the sun's cycle in relation with the earth. So it gives it an extra bit of potency. You could go up there at any time of the year and you're going to have a mystical experience. But if you go on a solstice or an equinox, it'll be extra.
Must have been a great experience, not just for the guests, but yourself. To, like I said, to have that all in your head and then put that together and then actually go through it with them. So, and it takes a lot of organising. I know myself, ran retreats not as big as yours, but it takes a lot of organising, a lot of energy, different accommodations.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
Yeah, I did it again. it just happened,
I would need help with that.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was, booking the accommodations, the itinerary, making sure, you got the right dates, because we're during the Sacred Scotland tour, we're staying at different accommodations throughout the land. It's not just in your one place, because we're on a tour. So there's different accommodations we're staying in. So yeah, it was a lot. I think I had a wee problem on the first one. I think I booked the wrong dates on, and I had to at the last minute, didn't they tell the guests or that, but I had to get an extra Airbnb for one. It was something happened. There was some teething problems with it.
It's a lot to do yourself, but obviously you were pulling it off.
Yeah.
So before we continue on the retreat side of things,
yeah,
I know you're big on health and wellness and spirituality. Can you talk us through some of your practices that keep you in a good state of mind, your physical health, that sort of stuff? What sort of stuff do you do on a daily basis?
Oh, thanks for asking. Health's because I had my health scare when I was 19, 18. I've been really I've had to be because I had a little bit liver damage when I was young. It really taught me to be on it with diet, and so on a personal level, I can't really afford to just let my diet kind of sway off track. So one of the things I do, I can share with you, is a thing that I do every morning, and it's really good for your health, is I always start the day with a litre of lemon water. And I love doing that every single day. You have filtered water, ideally, filtered or purified water, and you just squeeze a couple of lemons. You can use limes as well, but you just squeeze your lemons into the water and boom, you just drink that every morning. And what that does is just helps the digestive system get moving. It'll flush things out, helps the liver. The lemon is very alkalizing, so it helps to alkalize the body. We want to keep an alkaline diet as much as possible on the acidic scale. Certain foods are more acidic, because if you start your day first thing, with coffee or with other things, it's putting your body into a more of an acidic state. So I always like to just try and keep alkaline in the morning, and the lemon water has been a saving grace for me, just to keep my digestive tract moving. I also do a lot of stretching in the morning and breath. And you don't have to go crazy with doing mad breathwork sequences. I know breathwork's a big thing out there, and you can go deep with the breathwork. There's many breathwork facilitators out there that can take you deep. But just even in the morning, just being conscious of, you're waking up, and every day is a new sacred day. I like to approach the day as it's a blessing to be alive. We wake up and it's we're alive, and it's having that mindset of being grateful. I think when we wake up and we're in an attitude of gratitude, it just sets the whole day apart, because we're only here for a short period, man. Our human lives will fly by, and as ask someone who's in their 50s, 60s or 70s, they'll be like, oh, it flies by. So it's we got to really, so I like to take a moment in the mornings just to get clear on my day, what my set my intentions. But keeping the diet clean, and if you do have a few cheat meals, and if you do, sway off, just get back on it, and it's another thing is I don't grudge paying a little bit extra money for healthier foods. You know, if it's a little bit extra to, you know, get organic in, you know, I see that as an investment in my health. I'd rather cut costs in other areas of life. It's like, well, could have spent 20 or 30 quid at the pub. I was like, oh, I'll get some supplements in instead of that. So always try and weigh up. For me, health is wealth, and having good health. You could have all the money in the world. If your health's not there, there's no point. It's just all you want to be. When you're sick, you just want to get better again. So there's a lot to do with maintenance and just keeping our health, you know, hitting the gym is important as well.
It's great to hear you speaking about these things. I'm learning as you're telling me the stories. But I just feel like in this environment, or these cities, we're not taught all these things, Ryan. We're not taught about the 12 systems of the body or the correct foods to eat. And as you said, waking up in the morning, sending out good thoughts, gratitude. Most of us suffer through that because we don't know these things. And just to sit here and you explain it in that way, and you've got such a gentle voice, by the way, you're amazing to listen to. I just feel like after the episode I could maybe learn a wee bit more off, you know what I mean? So don't get away too quick. But moving on, right, before we dive into the retreats in Scotland and Ireland, so I know you're doing retreats there as well.
Yeah.
You're also an astrologer.
Yes, I am, yeah.
She's very impressive also. So can you talk me through that?
Well, yeah, I mean, wow, that astrology is an incredible subject, you know. It's a vast subject of, it's been a passion of mine since about 2012 when I just began to realise a little bit about my natal chart, my birth chart, and I was just fascinated by it and the archetypes that are in astrology. And I'm a Leo. I know you're an Aquarius, so it's like it's your birthday season. Your birthday's coming up, isn't it?
It's been.
Has it been?
Oh, January 24th.
Oh, January. Happy birthday then. It's
Thanks.
Aquarius season. So
26.
26. Yeah, good. So I've just been kind of fascinated about astrology for years, and I was like, it's much more than just your sun sign, you know, because a lot of people look at your, you know, horoscopes in the Sun newspaper, and you're like, this is bullshit, you know, and nobody can be this, you know. And I began to like actually research a lot deeper into it and got addicted to learning about it, and began to look at the vast array of facets within astrology, which goes a lot deeper than just your sun sign. You've got your moon, your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars, Saturn, and different transits you have going on at the same time, the outer planets. So I began to like really understand a little bit more about our cosmology and where we are on the Earth, and how actually all the planets, the sun, moon, and the stars actually affect life on Earth, and how that pertains to our own life, and we can use that for our advantage and to get a better grasp on, you know, where we're going in life. So it's a great tool to use, and it's fun as well. I just think it's a fun, interactive way. It's not everything, you know. We're not bound completely by. We don't want to box ourselves in too much. Of like, yeah, you're an Aquarius and I'm a Leo, but it does give us a template for our life in a way that can make sense, and it can actually like realize like, I've been so impatient and angry all this. Like, oh yeah, your moon's in Aries. Okay, no wonder you're an Aries. Makes sense. So I see astrology as a fun and interactive way of getting to know ourselves.
So can you tell with people's traits sometimes? Does it depend on if they're living their best life or what type of environment they're in, their thought process? Is it harder to tell people's star signs by their traits?
It's actually pretty easy to tell people's traits. It can be pretty easy. Like if you know what each sign represents and what each sign is about.
Right. So tell me, what's the typical traits of a Aquarius?
An Aquarius. So Aquarians they're said to be humanitarians. So Aquarians are all about working for the greater good of the community. So you find a lot of Aquarians who are doing a lot of humanitarian work, maybe social justice, or working for poor people or people in need. They're all about the big picture. They're all about seeing the big picture. And so that's one way of Aquarius is an air sign. So usually Aquarians are really good with speech and communication and ideas, because it's all about the intellect. Aquarius is a fixed air sign. So you have different modalities and different elements within astrology as well. So you know the Aquarius is an air element. So air is thought, is communication, it's mind. So Aquarians are some of the most inventive people out there. They're ruled by the planet Uranus. Uranus it represents a higher mind. So Aquarius, it's all about just bringing through ideas, bringing through visions for humanity, and more about humanity rather than like the self. Leo, on the other hand, Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. And Leo can be a little bit more kind of like self-orientated in that, because it's like about the self-expression of Leo. So Leo and Aquarius actually bounce off each other really, really well, and we are doing that today. So so we both learn from each other.
Can I ask you about one other star sign?
Yeah,
Aries.
Aries,
the female version.
The female. Well, Aries is the first sign, right? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the beginning of the zodiac. Aries need to be first. They're always front of the queue. The Aries will just barge through and get first. Can be very impatient. They're ruled by Mars. It's a fire sign. So Aries are intense. Aries rules the head. See, in astrology, each sign rules a body part. So Aries rules the head. So Aries are pretty headstrong. You know, they you see them. They walk forward with their head in front. So very, very dynamics, cardinal fire. So it's all about getting things going. Aries are good. They're great at starting things. Not so good at finishing things and seeing through to the end. But they'll start a project. They'll start many projects, but they don't really follow through as much. But a powerful sign, fire sign. You want an Aries to, you know. I'll give you an example. Conor McGregor. His Mars is in Aries. So that's and I mean, it's like he's quintessential Aries character. Even though his sun is in Cancer, but his Mars, which represents his masculinity, is in the sign of Aries, which is just that like.
That fire
and when
sign.
he's in that octagon, right, he's just running straight at you and doing like a kick and, you know, kick your head off or knock you out within a second. That's like Aries to me.
We spoke about it earlier. I love the story with Conor McGregor. His energy inspired me when I was going through a hard time. For him to manifest stuff, to speak stuff into existence, the law of attraction. He was actually starting to make his opponents believe that they were going to lose before the fight had even happened.
Yeah.
And it would happen in the first round anyway. So it was a special thing that he was doing. And when I watch that back, it always gives me inspiration. It's special, Ryan. Is there anything else you want to add about astrology before we move on?
Yeah, just that. Yeah, if anyone's interested, yeah, it's good to just if anyone's wanting a little bit more insight into their traits, or understand a little bit maybe about your shadow side, weak spots, things you need to work on, even trauma issues that you can see, you can identify. It's good to look at your natal chart, and it gives you a little bit of a insight into being able to understand who you are in a deeper level, and also know where you're going in the future. So
it's great, mate.
Yeah.
We tapped on the Scottish heritage. Now we're going to go over to the Irish. I know you've done a lot of research. You're now doing retreats there. Take me into some of the history that you've researched.
In Ireland?
In Ireland.
Yeah, so obviously I come from, my second name being Mckenna. My father's line came up from County Monaghan. I know you've got the Monaghan connection there. So it's like Monaghan was where Clan Mckenna originated. My grandfather was born in Belfast and came over to Scotland in the 60s. So I have strong ancestral connection there in Ireland. And at one point, I hundreds of years ago, Ireland and Scotland were like one country. Before we had these modern day borders and countries that we know exist today, it was actually more of a one land. It was actually called Dalriada. So it was the seat of the High Kings of Ireland were actually connected into the Kings of Scotland. So Scotland and Ireland have always been this, they're like brothers and sisters. We're very similar people, the Gaels, and we're bound by language, because Gaelic is spoken here in Scotland, and it's also the main language in Ireland, Irish Gaelic. So Ireland and Scotland, they're bound by language, bound by people and ethnicity, and also by culture. Scottish music and Irish music is very similar. And also in Ireland, we also find similar connection between all the different sacred sites. So very much like our Scotland, also down in England as well, we have the stone circles, and in Ireland there's also hundreds of these ancient stone circles there. And as I was researching all of the sacred sites in Scotland, I was also digging deeply into the history of Ireland and I'm going way back. I want to go way back to the beginning and who built these ancient stone circles. Who were the Druids? The Druids were the priestly caste of the Celts who were said to inhabit these lands. And it's interesting because during the Roman conquest of Britain, this was around 54 AD, so just after the advent of when Christ was born, the Romans were invading the British Isles, but they never actually made it to Ireland. They never set foot on Ireland. So Ireland is very unique in the fact that it didn't get tainted as much by this Roman conquest. I mean, the Romans got up to Scotland, but once they saw these Picts, these red-haired warriors who would take magic mushrooms and paint their face blue and naked and run into battle, the Roman legions were just like, right, we're buggering off back.
We're not having this.
We'll get back to Sardinia with our vineyards. So the Romans didn't actually conquer Scotland, and they didn't actually set foot on Ireland. So Ireland became this very unique island in the sense that a lot of the Celtic spirituality of the ancient Celts, the Gaels, was contained there. So Ireland became this spiritual epicenter for all of Europe at one point. And it still is to this day in many respects. So there's so much ancient wisdom and knowledge that is held in Ireland, and many people, many other researchers are alluding to the fact that at one point Ireland was like the center of civilization in Europe. People from all over the world would actually travel to Ireland to learn from the Druids, and there's even legends that talk about Christ himself setting foot on these lands to study with the masters there at the time. So obviously the Romans didn't invade Ireland by physical force. They did eventually get through there through the Catholic Church and through the suppression that came onto the people that way. But Ireland holds many keys to the history of the world, and also the future of humanity and how we can evolve and grow. Oh, and it's no wonder that over the centuries the Irish have been subject to tremendous amounts of genocide, famine, war. And they've been a British colony for 800 years. So there's been many attempts to try and eradicate and wipe out the magic of the Irish people. And when I say the Irish people, I also refer to us people here in Scotland and the people here in Britain. We're a beautiful people that contain so much ancient knowledge. And the powers that be have been trying to chip away at that and trying to suppress that. So it's a beautiful country, and it's also full of so much. I mean, there's been so many saints and so many sages and so many enlightened beings that have actually came from Ireland, and that country has just produced so many beautiful people. And there's a magic to it as well, like, you know, the land of the fairies. You know, it's like even Irish music. There's something like fairy-like about it. There's something. It's like non-human. There's a non, and it's interesting because in that the annals of Irish mythology it talks about the Tuatha De Danann, who were this demigod-like race, this mythological race of beings who were said to seed Celtic civilization with higher knowledge, Druidic wisdom. And with that came art, Celtic art, all of the spirals and Celtic knots and the Triskelion. And then with that higher knowledge in terms of law, music, Irish music's also, and, you know, there's many stories of fiddlers and musicians who are said to have been whisked away by the fairies, and they would go to the Tír na nÓg, the land of the eternal youth, and train in music with the fairies, and they'd come back to the mortal human realm. And Irish music got this whole other evolution from that. So
it's amazing, Ryan.
Yeah.
So I know you've got a lot of knowledge in Ireland, and you're also doing retreats there.
Yes.
Can you talk me through? I know you've got one. Is it an upcoming retreat? Is it in April?
Yes, in May.
In May?
Yes, in May. So I have a retreat in Ireland, and it's Beltane. Beltane is an ancient Celtic fire festival. Happens every year at the start of May, and it's like the kind of beginning of summer. You could say it's the beginning of what's called the light in ancient Celtic spirituality. It's called the light half of the year. So it's a time when, you know, the nature is busiest. You know, if you think of it, early May, you know, it's like the trees are green again, and nature's fertile, and the farmers are out ploughing the fields and planting. It's a really special time of the year. And so we go to the Hill of Ishnok, and there's a beautiful fire festival there. They create this big, massive fire. It's the biggest fire you'll ever see, and thousands of people from all over the world travel there to celebrate. And it was where the ancient Druids held this sacred fire for centuries. So it's in the centre of Ireland. It's called the Navel of Ireland, and it's the Hill of Ishnok. So they have this beautiful big gathering there every year, and you're going to be taking people there, and we're going to be traveling throughout the country, visiting different sacred sites, making offerings at different sacred sites, learning about the history, learning about the mythology. We're going to be working with some local Irish guides who are there, are going to help guide us through music and ceilidhs, and then we have a big celebration at Beltane. So
how many days is that retreat?
7 days. Yeah, it's a 7-day retreat.
Is it fully booked?
It's fully booked. Yeah, we've got a big group. There's about 20 people, including facilitators. So it's
you got a lot more help this time.
Yeah, we've got a lot of help. Yeah, we've got a good team this time. Yeah, I've got a bigger team with me. So
is there no space there for me, Ryan? I'll just
jump in the back. Yeah, baby, come, man. Yeah, I'm
thinking about it.
Come over, man. Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
No, you're absolutely more than welcome.
That'd be really amazing.
Yeah.
So
give you a discount.
We'll speak about that after the show, right?
Yeah.
No, it's been great speaking to you. And before we finish up on the episode, if there's anything else you want to add before sending a message out to the audience, now is the time.
Yeah, just you know, these are powerful times we're living in, Jim. You know, it's I don't know if anyone's noticed, probably have, but the world seems to be going a bit bonkers. Like, it's just these past few years, everything's seemed to ram up. And it seems to be, you know, there's war, and there's talk of war, and there's agendas going on, and there's all sorts of things going on that people are aware of and what's happening in this world. And it seems to be a little bit chaotic and a little bit dark out there at these times. However, my message is for your viewers is to keep your vibrations high. Keep your vibes high. And I know that sounds wishy-washy, and it's like, yeah, good vibes only, and But everything is vibration, so everything that we consume is vibration. And that doesn't just stop at food or drink. It's what we consume with our eyes, through media, through television, what we hear, the music that we choose to listen to, the people that we choose to hang around. They say that you're a sum total of like the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. So it's really important for people to select what we take into our electromagnetic field. And that begins with diet, it begins with what we eat and drink. So it's making little improvements, little adjustments. And whether that's like you just have your lemon water in the morning and you just have your chippy at night still. Having a chippy at night is okay if that's what you're doing, but just have the lemon water in the morning to just balance it out. So it's these wee things. We're not asking anyone to just, have to become an enlightened yogi overnight. Although if that's your path, it could be. But so improving diet, improving health, improving lifestyle, and making little small steps, whether that's getting out more, getting more exercise, taking in more breaths, having an attitude of appreciation and gratitude, counting your blessings, because we've all got blessings, we've all got challenges, and even the best of us have suffering. So I would say just, count the blessings, get your health on track, do what you can to improve your life in many, many ways, because we're only here for a short period of time. So give it your best shot. Life is a blessing, and it's a blessing to be here. And I think within our lifetime, we are going to see a massive awakening that's coming to this world, and we get to be a part of it, and we get to sit in the front row and watch it all unfold. So
it's an amazing message, Ryan. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on.
Cheers, Jim. Cheers.
I'm sure we can call each other friends now.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
No, thanks
cheers.
again.
Thank you.